was a preschool graduation brawl that's getting a lot of attention. The video is going viral online. And this took place in South Los Angeles, California. And I should tell you before we show the video that the parents were fighting because during the graduation, they only had one cap and gown to share among all of the students. Now, this is the result of the budget cuts. So when it came to taking pictures, each student had to put on the cap and gown, change, give it to the next student. And one parent was taking too long, and this is what happened.
So, you know, here's the important context for this video you might not get elsewhere. Look, a lot of people look at that video and they go, ah, look at that. Poor people fighting each other. Ha, 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 ha. We knew it. That's how they are, right? God, that makes me so angry. But they wouldn't have to fight each other if they all had a cap and gown like we did when we were going to high school. Like, to give you a sense of perspective, I know it was a while back, but my high school was in a suburb of New York. It was a little bit more well off, not like unbelievable outrageous, but pretty solidly upper middle class, right? Mm-hmm. And so obviously we had our own cap and gown, we had our own books, etc. But we had enough money that we could turn our football field into a lighted football field. And that cost us, what, $70,000 at the time,
Jeez.
Which now I'm sure is much, much more, right? So while we get to, and I was like, I don't even know why we were playing Saturday mornings and afternoons. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an American tradition. It's great. No. We got to be like the cool Texas schools. You're going to play under the lights and like that. Meanwhile, some of the schools we'd play in our own county wouldn't have books to take home, like Perth Amboy, right? And it was nearly a dirt field that we lived on. And even when I was a kid, I was like, why? Why don't they take the money from the lights and give it to Perth Amboy so they can actually have books to read, right? But no, you got to protect your own. And when it comes to school, no, my kids have to have an awesome education. And if you're fighting over caps and gowns, you had it coming. Look at you. It's sick, man. It's sick.
Now, keep in mind that public schools, I mean, it varies from state to state, but I know for a fact that in the LAUSD system, the schools are funded through property taxes, right? So in South LA, that's not exactly the most luxurious area of Los Angeles County. So the property prices are much lower. Remember, because of Prop 13, we only pay 1% property tax of the value of the home. So our school systems don't get enough anyway. But if the cost of the property is even lower, these schools are barely getting funded. So you're totally right, Cenk. They're fighting over the situation that they're in, but they don't know. They don't know to fight the system. They fight one another.
Now, let me tell you one amazing fact. They did a study in India, and it'll give you a sense of exactly what we're talking about here in this context, where they tested low caste kids and high caste kids. You know, in India they have different castes. Now that's a very old tradition, etc. And if they tested them anonymously, they would score identical scores because they're human beings. That what caste, lower caste, higher caste, doesn't make a difference, right? But if they tested them together and the low caste kids and the high caste kids were together and they knew each other, then the low caste kids would do significantly worse than the high caste kids.
That's interesting.
Isn't that amazing? Why? It's because they internalize the caste system and what the outside world tells them. Since they know that we're not the high caste kids, we must be inferior, so they actually do worse on the test, significantly so. And then what happens? Then you get a reinforcing mechanism where they go, well, look at these low caste people. Of course, they do worse. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're higher caste and that's why they're lower caste, right? And so I feel like I get the same thing out of this video, where a lot of people will look at this video and go, tut, tut, tut. You see that? Of course, they fight. That's how they are, right? And they've got us fighting each other, and then that reinforces it. We got to fight this system, man. And we're better than this, but you got to have some degree of equity and resources so that you can give people a chance. And that's supposed to be the whole point of this country, land of opportunity. If you shut off that opportunity, this is what results.